right, hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the Jam Cave Studio. Tonight we are doing our very first ever Jazz Mountain Artist Hangout special. And the first victim is going to be my good buddy Greg Goldman, who is an artist here in St. Louis. He's been at it for a while. He's a jack of all trades, plays a lot of different stuff, has a lot of different influences, has been in a lot of different bands. And we're just going to hang out and have some fun tonight. We're going to start the show off with Greg picking a tune. Then we're going to play some of his own music and talk about that a little bit and go into his creative process and kind of, pick his brain a little bit about what makes him tick and how he does things. And then we'll close down the show with one more Greg Goldman pick from the Jazz Mountain Vinyl Archive. And with me, to my left, the man himself, Mr. Greg Goldman. How's it going, man?
What's up, dude? This is awesome.
Yeah, so welcome to the Jam Cave Studio. You've been here before, but never live on the mic, so a little different vibe. But we are hanging out and having fun. That's first and foremost.
Indeed.
And then we'll get to some of your music in a little bit here. But let's start off with, just hanging out and playing a tune, and it's your call. So what are you going to pick?
All right, so even though you have such a copious amount of vinyl to choose from, I had to pick something that's digital, and that's a band that I got into in like the early 2000s. They're called Garage Mahal, and I think they have just such an awesome sound and such interesting instrumentation, and so I think we got to play some of them.
Yeah, it's kind of like a jazz fusion band that has some Indian influence to it too.
Yeah.
There's a tabla on this track, for example.
Yeah.
And then the one of the members is Indian, right? So
Well, right. Their guitar player, and he plays electric guitar, but he uses some sort of an effect that makes it sound like a sitar. So it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and it's great. And this is a long jam, so get ready to rock and roll here and settle in. And then after this tune, we'll kind of get into some of Greg's solo stuff. So
Nice.
Let's have some fun. I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation of this, but it's called Ghulam Sabri.
That sounds right to me, man.
From Live Volume 1 from Garage Mahal. Let's rock and roll, guys. Okay, we're in full force hangout mode here in the Jam Cave. Great pick, dude. And now we are ready to delve into the career of Greg Goldman here, who's the guest of honor tonight here to my left. Prince Caspian is loving Greg tonight. He is rubbing up against him and just kind of like asking for attention. And that means a lot because Prince is the co-host, so he loves your presence here. We love your presence here, and it's going to be a great night. But, we have some stuff to get to. So, yeah, let's talk about Soma a little bit. The jam band you were in back in the day, they were pretty popular in the Northeast at the time, and you guys toured all over the place and had a pretty good following, huh?
I joined in like 92, and we played until about 98, I think it was. So about a 6-year run.
And you guys were from Connecticut, is that right?
Yeah, we started out in Connecticut, and then we relocated to Burlington, Vermont in 1996.
Chasing the dream, chasing the fish dream, right?
Yeah, well, right, because fish had really blown up in Burlington. There was a really hot music scene riding that wave, and so we really just wanted to be a part of that. And so, so we moved up to Burlington and played a lot of the same venues that were where fish cut their teeth. So that was quite an honor.
Yeah, and these guys are really good. I've been wanting to play them on the show for a while, but I wanted to wait till Greg was here so we could kind of talk about it a little bit. So it's Greg on bass, and then what's the rest of the band?
Okay, so I was the bass player, and I sang a lot of the harmony parts, and then there was Dave Wendell on drums and lead vocals, and he did a lot of the writing, most of the writing, really. And then Joe Bowman was the lead guitar player, who also shared quite a lot of the writing credit, and then Jake Lambertson was our keyboard player.
And then as you'll hear when you listen to it, the sound engineer is really good too. He mixes it really well, and we were listening to it, and it's like just as good as like a soundboard on Nugs these days, I think. So that was part of it too, and also a lighting guy, I believe, as well.
Yeah. So Charlie Campbell was our sound engineer. Still works as a sound engineer. Really talented guy, and he was as much a member of the band as the rest of us, and so he would contribute quite a lot to making us sound the way we sound. And then, we'd had a lighting guy named Brian Connors who toured with us quite a bit. We had any number of roadies on the road with us, so it was an entourage of sorts.
Yeah, you guys would drive across the country in a van and a horse trailer, is that right?
Yeah, we did a cross-country tour in 94, van and horse trailer. Really riding in style we were.
And you have to be really good friends with each other to be together that much driving across the country, right? Staying up late, kind of... partying and kind of like, getting up early and getting ready for the day, and it's probably a lot of work,
Well, I really think that being in a touring band is like being in a several-way marriage in a lot of sorts because you get, the intensities of good and bad, both.
And then you get to read each other's minds, right? Like, I think you were telling me a story one time about how, like, you and the drummer all of a sudden would just come up with the same groove at the same moment in the middle of the show, right? Because you spend that much time together, you kind of get to know each other both on and off the stage, and that relationship kind of develops into some magic, right?
Right. Well, and you know somebody on their instrument well enough and have followed them enough times and had them follow you enough times that you can kind of sense from just the feel of what they're doing, what they're about to do. So that's one of the really great joys of playing in a live band, especially one that has a lot of improvisation.
Yeah, and you can hear it too. They're really good. And without further ado, actually, let's introduce the song. The song's called Amber, and it closes the show from this particular set. And I really like this song. And what's it about again?
This is a fictional story about a man who has an affair with a prostitute. So words and music, or words and melody written by Dave, the drummer. And then this is a sort of unusual one in that I was able to get a music writing credit in. So.
Oh, wow, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, so to close this show from 11/02/96, it's Soma with Amber. Let's do it.
thing I ever heard. Boss man breaking my window. Got some things he'd like to say. Costing an hour of profit. Don't want Amber to come out and play. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Good night, guys. We're Soma. Peace. Take care now.
Like what you heard, don't forget to sign up on our mailing list. It's right over there. Keep track of where we're going to be. Really appreciate it. Great crowd. Thanks a lot.
Remember, listen to the radio station on Tuesday. They'll be giving away a CD, and please call and request us. Thank you.
All right, what a great jam. And we love jams here on Jazz Mountain, obviously. And I like that one because all of the members of the band are featured pretty well. You got Joe up with that nice guitar solo, Greg, the bass player, sitting right next to me here on that slap part. You had Dave with the drum solo, and then Jake with a nice organ part as well.
Yeah. That was one of the reasons I wanted that one to be featured, because it really gives a nice overview of all of our strengths.
As we were listening to it, you said that it's called a push jam. Can you explain, as a musician, like what is a push jam?
Yeah, Fish really, I think, probably is the best example of a band that plays push jams, where it's a slow build over the course of the jam. Usually, a guitar solo will be riding the top of it, and the idea is to keep pushing the intensity level up. One of the things Fish will often do to achieve that effect is they'll go into those really dissonant bits and then snap back into
like
place.
On Chocolate's Torture or Stash or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or David Bowie's.
David Bowie's a great example.
Mm-hmm. That's a push jam, and the idea is to maximize the intensity level and then bring it all the way down. Unfortunately, the Amber we just heard, there's a couple of rough transitions in there, but we made it through.
You're hypercritical, probably. How many years later was it? Almost 30 years later, but
that's true.
Not crazy,
that's
yeah.
true.
But I thought it was awesome. And the sound quality on that's pretty good too. It's a soundboard, and compared to some of the shows I've been listening to on Nugs, actually, like it sounds through my speakers here in the Jam Cave studio, sounds pretty crisp. So
yeah, that's all Charlie, man. Our sound man was a very, very talented sound guy. Still works as a freelance sound engineer in New York. Yeah,
cool.
So.
All right, so we got the artist here in the studio, so why not play a little more from Greg Goldman? In my mind, he's a local hero here, even though he doesn't get to play live, but he's one of the people in St. Louis making a lot of great music, and he does it all from his home studio, which is incredible. And he does everything, right? So he sings, he writes, his main instrument's bass, right? At least in Soma, he was the bass player, but he plays guitar, keys, and also like drums. But explain how you play the drums on these tracks.
So these days my studio is in my apartment, and so I have to be quite quiet about things. So it's a mostly silent studio. I use all VST amps for anybody who's interested in the geeky part of music. For drums, I have a little like a finger pad kind of deal that I can play drums on, and then the plugins make it sound like real drums. But I'll at least perform them with my hands.
Yeah, it's kind of fun for me because we're buddies, and he'll kind of play me parts of these songs as they're developing, and I kind of get to see the whole thing come together because he'll probably write down some lyrics and then have like a little melody, and you usually start with the acoustic guitar part first, is that right? And you kind of build everything in from there, and it kind of just ends up being like this opus of a song that comes together. And it's pretty cool to see it like layer itself to be something full and kind of magical at the end, where it starts out pretty simple.
The recording process to me is just one of the greatest joys of life, and so it's just it's the thing I love most is to get into the studio and record. And so yeah, I mean, it's pretty much, I mostly write on acoustic, sometimes on piano, sometimes on electric, but mostly on acoustic. It's really, when I'm just milling about in the house, it's easy to just pull out the acoustic and play a little bit and then put it back again. So that's how ideas get going.
Okay, and do you write the lyrics first, or do you write the song? That's right, you write the song part first, or like the melody or the rhythm, and then you kind of...
So the songwriting process has kind of changed in recent years for me. It used to be I would just sit down with an acoustic guitar and like write a song start to finish, words, melody, music all together. And then nowadays, time constraints make it hard to because it's an exhaustive process. I could spend sometimes 3-4 hours working on a song, and you don't necessarily have that when you've got kids and a career and all that stuff. So nowadays, oftentimes I'll be noodling around, and I'll find like a chord progression I like. I'll make a quick note of it, usually just by recording myself, like a video of myself playing it. And then I'll go back later and do an actual studio-worthy take of it on the computer, and then piece together bits until I have a song. That's what I'd been doing for the last several albums. This album, I've got a little more time on my hands, and so I've been able to write some more stuff holistically like I used to, so that's been nice. But that's the album I'm working on now, and we're probably a good solid 6 months from that one coming out.
All his albums are great, but as a fan, I would say my two favorites are probably For My Part and Cathexis, maybe? You said For My Part's probably your favorite too. Gun to your head kind of situation, right?
Yeah, to me, that's the one that I feel the proudest of. But then, you know, some of the newer stuff pushes me into directions that I didn't think I could go in. So, you know.
Yeah, and we're going to play a newer one, right? So it's hard to choose what to play because Greg said he wanted it to kind of fit the vibe of the Jazz Mountains show, right? He's got a lot of different kind of stuff, but this one is a little more jazzy, kind of Steely Dan-y, maybe, something like that.
Yeah, once I wrote the chord progression, I thought, okay, well, I'm going to have to do a mildly Steely Dan vibe for the rhythm section. So that's what you end up with.
And it's called Count Me Out. Mm-hmm. And anything about the song we should know? Do you want to give away anything that it's about or anything? Or
it's so this is the opening track of Knock on Wood. So hopefully sets a good vibe for the record you're about to hear when you put it on. You know.
All right. So without further ado, let's rage it. Here we go.
Give this all some room to play.
right, great stuff there. And do you wish that you had another Greg, like in real life, to harmonize with? It sounds pretty good the way you mixed it, but I was just imagining for some reason, like, what if you could, like, clone yourself to do harmonies?
Oh,
And
my
maybe
God.
clone yourself, 4 times? So you'd have, like, a whole band?
Then I'd have to deal with 4 me's. That would be horrible.
Talk about interpersonal band drama, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm in the Greg Goldman mood now. So I'm going to choose one now from that album, for my part, that we were talking about.
Okay.
The song's called Fully Engaged. One more time here from Greg Goldman for my part. Let's do it.
Oh no, here's the rest of this one. Hold on and lost it on the 6th run. I'm heading into dark stuff. It's come to roll back against the drift and face the setting. In from the next room, your eyes fix on my soft form. You're off to close the distance. The mining's gotta be thick on this one. It's only just begun to fire. Singing in your arms at once I see. The only way you know is to watch while it just flows and try to hold still. Owners complete with owning system. Codeless experiencing at the faith run. I'm ready for expansive and unfolding. Gently push me into the fire. I'm ready.
All right, so we've explored Greg's solo career with a couple songs there, and we're happy to have those on the show. But now we're going to go actually back in time, I guess, and explore some of Greg's other projects he's done throughout the years. And so Greg started with the band Soma, who you
Right.
heard first
Right,
in the
right.
mid-'90s. And then from there, where did you go as a musician in your career?
Okay, so I left Soma and I went to college because, as it turns out, musician is not a prosperous career. And then in college I met a couple of musicians that I joined in their band Sigmund Blue, and I became their bass player. And we recorded one studio album and played around Fayetteville, Arkansas, where we were located at the time. And then we split up, went our separate ways. Everybody did something else in their careers. And then we recorded 2 more albums, but this time from a distance. So Brandy Parker, our guitar player.
She's awesome, by the way.
She's incredible. She moved to New York, and so she was based there. And then I had moved to Pittsburgh to do an internship there.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was based there.
So you guys moved from Fayetteville.
Well,
Went your separate ways, and you still wanted to have a band,
well,
right?
I went to grad school in between, and then I moved to Pittsburgh for internship after grad school. So we recorded our second album with me in Pittsburgh, her in New York, and then Andy, our drummer and more or less lead vocalist, was still in Arkansas. So the 3 of us were in 3 different states and decided to record an album that way. And what was interesting about it was there was like a theme to it. The idea was each person would record like a very small snippet of sound, like a 10-second or so snippet of sound, and send it to the next person. And the next person would then add something to it and make it sort of more into a song.
Almost like the game of telephone. Well, not really telephone.
Kinda, yeah.
But it's kind of like telephone because you don't really know what the other person after you is going to say.
Exactly.
Like you're
so
going
it
to say
changes
something.
it.
It changes it every time.
Yes. And so then
Yeah.
that person would develop it further, and then we'd pass it back and forth between the 3 of us, adding tracks and vocals to make it into a finished song. So that was how we recorded our second album.
Wow, how many times would it go around between you guys for each track?
Well, so, we didn't have a strict, has to be in any particular order thing. It just had to be that it started from one person and went to a second person. Usually the second person was the one who shaped it the most into a song. Right.
So you give someone an idea, kind of a little impetus or just spark, and then that person kind of takes that and creates more or less a song. And maybe bounces it off the other person or 2. Okay, that's really cool.
And then another person might have an idea for like a words and melody and add that on top, right? And then for a third album, we actually did a concept album where it was about this young woman who keeps dying and coming back to life in a different universe. And it was all controlled by this cosmic octopus. It was really
like the album cover. That's
right.
Okay.
So it's the 8 Deaths of Delphinium Gardner was the third album, and that was one of the most ambitious musical projects I've ever done.
It turned out well. I love that album.
Yeah, and it follows the whole story, and it's crazy. But so the one that I thought I would bring to you though goes back to the beginning, which is our first album. It's just the 3 of us, basically in a college band playing together, and we did a studio album that was like mostly layered studio recordings like you usually get, but there were a few songs on there that were basically live in the studio, and so I thought I'd bring one of those just to showcase like how we interacted just as a 3-piece sort of jamish band.
One of the things Greg is doing is he's trying to maybe play music for the show that fits the show just a little bit, because he's got a lot of different sounds in his career. Obviously, Soma fits the show very well because it's a jam band. But with his solo stuff, like we talked about just recently, and also with the next couple tracks he'll play, that it's kind of like, maybe Jazz Mountain style kind of tracks. Because this band has a lot of different sounds too, right?
Yeah, Sigmund Blue definitely does. But so this one I think would fit the style of the show the best, and also has some improvisational elements to it. So that's a nice feature as well.
We love improv on Jazz Mountain.
So I wanted to play. This is Devil's Song from our first album, Laundry Day, from Sigmund Blue.
Take control.
All right, so that was Devil's Song by Sigmund Blue there. And I guess now we're going to go forward in time a little bit, as I understand, to Greg's next project, and it's called Todd Rooster. So tell us about this.
Okay, so Todd Rooster, yeah. So I went off to grad school. I was in Athens, Ohio, and I hung up a sign in a music store, which is how you would join a band back in the day.
Wow.
And I got a couple of calls. One of them was from this fella named Jim, who invited me to play in a fusion collective, which I did. And then the other was from these guys, Todd Rooster. And so I played in both bands at the same time. And Todd Rooster is like a jam funk fusion kind of band
With an electric fiddle.
Yeah. So yeah, it's guitar. We actually had 2 guitars, bass, drums, keyboards, vocals, and then electric violin. We had a vocalist and a guitarist who, by the end of my tenure with Todd Rooster, had both left, and so our studio recordings don't have them on them. But yeah, it was quite an outfit.
So it was pretty fun at a Todd Rooster show in the bar scene back then, right? You guys had a pretty good following or a pretty good crowd
I would
most
say,
nights.
because the guys were undergrads, they were in fraternities, they had all their friends through there, and so we'd have fairly packed bar shows, and the guys were a lot more loosey-goosey, so they would play just about anything that came into their minds, which I kind of loved. And, they were a lot less serious about the business of being in a band than I am, which was a lot of fun and also really stressful because I was older and had been in a couple of bands previously by then. And so I'm like, nah, that's not how you're supposed to do it, man.
I think one time you told me you were kind of like the dad of the band or
Well,
something.
they
They had a nickname for you. What was it again?
So Todd Rooster was the band, and they called me Papa Rooster, affectionately.
But you were kind of like the arranger of the music and kind of like not the boss, but kind of like the person who would like organize it, right?
Well, I was the person who was doing a lot of like herding cats, but like they, they were these really, really talented dudes, and in retrospect, they probably didn't need me to boss them around. But we came up with some really cool stuff, and we ended up recording a studio album and put that out. And it's a really interesting album because there's a combination of like jams and good songs, and then just like some absolutely like nonsensical craziness. It's a little of everything.
Sounds like a great combo to me. And we're going to play some Todd Rooster for you now because we've been talking about it, pumping you guys up. So let's hear something. And what are we going to play here?
All right, I wanted to play Contagious. So the keyboard player, Ryan Sweeney, he came up with this bass line actually on his left hand. And I was like, oh, I like that. And so I think they had like a version of this song already kind of written. And so then we kind of shaped it into the song, rewrote the lyrics for the studio recording, and ended up with this. And it's a really sweet sort of chill jam song.
All right. Fits the show perfectly here on Jazz Mountain.
Feel it when your eyes are beaming, trading pieces of a canvassine. Cheap wisdom ain't hard to find. Communication through the typical vine. No message. I confess it's just an introduction to the meaning I can't explain. Take a piece and explicate what you find. Measure the space between the heart and the mind. An implication of an empty voice. Sustain the value of enduring noise. Contagious, or just say this. Further down the pure design, believe the cornerstone. When you battle, can you stand a shadow call? When you battle, can you stand a shadow call? When you battle, can you stand a shadow call? When you battle, can you stand a shadow call? When you battle, can you stand a shadow call? When you battle, can you stand a shadow call? When you battle, can you stand a shadow call? When you battle, can you stand a shadow call?
kind of wish I was in Athens, Ohio back in the day. Sounds like that would have been a pretty fun show from Todd Rooster. Great stuff.
Yeah, we had so much fun, and we recorded that album in this little cabin in the woods that I lived in at the time, and it was so much fun to record that album with those guys.
That must have been a fun weekend.
Yeah,
with those goofballs, man.
A fun several months, more like.
Several months.
Thanks to my old roommate, by the way. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, sorry, dude. All right, so we got time for a couple more songs, and I think I kind of want to hear a little more Soma. I mean, I love all your stuff, but they're probably my favorite, and it fits the show really well. So let's go with some of them. And we kind of were talking about a couple of things we might play, and I want to choose this one. They played in the parking lot of Clifford Ball, the epic Fish Festival weekend from 1996 at some point. So you guys went there and like set up equipment and like played a show for all those crazy fans all the way back in 96. So tell us about this.
Well, yeah, so that's a thing that we used to do is we'd go to Dead shows and Fish shows, and we would bring a horse trailer full of our equipment plus the generator to run it all. And we'd set up in the parking lot at the shows and just start jamming and playing a show. And like our we'd bring our own sound system and everything. And so, people who were milling about in the Dead lot or in the Fish lot could stop by and watch a pre-show show.
No one would shut you down. No one would be like, it's too loud, or you don't have a license, or like,
well, the Dead
who are you
were
guys?
a little more hardcore about not allowing that kind of thing. They
were
weren't
bigger
into
than
it.
Fish at that point. They were
Yeah.
Well, this is 96. This is just after Jerry died, but the Dead production was huge, and Fish was still more of an up and coming band, right?
Yeah.
Younger crowd, probably, right?
That's true, and also, I mean, the Fish were sort of known to kind of make appearances in the Fish lot. I mean, Mike Gordon used to have this like dirt bike thing that he'd ride around
really?
in the Fish lot. And it's rumored, I don't know if this is true, it is rumored that he stopped by when we played at Clifford Ball and watched us for a little bit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not. If so, sorry, Mike.
He was probably watching you real close because you're the bass player. He's
Well,
like, let's see if this
all right,
guy's got chops or not.
So that's what terrifies me about it, is the idea that he could have been watching me. But I will say this, is around that time, if you listen to Mike's playing, is when he starts using pick a lot more. And my little fantasy is that he saw me playing with a pick and was like, I should play pick more. That's my fantasy.
That's awesome. So what was the vibe like? You guys set up the equipment. That probably took a while, actually, and it was probably stressful. So once you guys like get set up, like what point of the weekend is this? Or like what time of day is this? Like set the scene for what's going on when you guys play the show.
It's the afternoon of the shows. So we went back for Clifford Ball. I believe we played 2 days, right? So it was maybe a Saturday, Sunday kind of deal. So we go in, we play a show like in the mid-afternoon before Fish went on, give them a lot of time to wrangle everybody into the stadium, of course, because we want them outside watching us. So, and then, we'd stick around afterwards and hang out for the show. And then, wake up in the morning, come back to the Fish lot, do it again.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what kind of crowd did you get? There's like
It's mostly people just walking by, watching, and they'd stop and they'd watch for a while. And then you'd get little pockets of a crowd at times. It's funny, there's actually video of this on YouTube somewhere of somebody coming up on us playing in the Fish lot. I'll have to find that for you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So this song is called Kick a Pebble, and gun to my head, probably my favorite Soma song behind maybe Stick on a Hill, which we cannot play on this show, probably.
Not if you want people to continue listening.
For all you people who want something really weird, check out Soma Stick on a Hill.
Yeah, it's sort of like our attempt at doing like space, like Dead did. Except,
but it's super evil and awesome and just outrageous. Like, I don't know.
Maximum dissonance.
What's the lyric again?
And there I was, impaled on a stick on a hill in the city. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like Vlad the Impaler kind of stuff. I don't know.
I think I fancied myself some sort of religious person. I don't know what I was doing.
Wait, did you write the lyrics to that one?
That particular one, yes.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's even cooler. Anyway, I want to play Stick on the Hill, but we're going to play Kick a Pebble, which is really my favorite Soma song, at least at this point. And I love it because Greg has a really cool bass solo in the middle. Great songwriting, great jam. It's about 9 minutes long. It's from the Fish parking lot back in 96 from Clifford Ball, and I can't wait to hear it. This is Jazz Mountain Artist Spotlight with Greg Goldman. Here we go.
Waterline, the good and bad are yours, just as they are mine. Go to where you were before it was today. Let the phantoms in that chase the sad away. Up there somewhere in the trees, whisper through the lazy breeze. Something tells me wait and see.
Soma rules. I'm sure that Fish would have approved of you guys playing a show in their parking lot during their festival in 96. That must have been a hoot. And it was certainly a good time here in the Jam Cave studio, rocking all these great tunes by this amazing artist. So thanks so much for joining us on the inaugural Jazz Mountains Artist Hangout Spotlight. And before we go, we have one more song that's going to be chosen by our guest sitting here to my left, Master of Sound and the Universe, Mr. Greg Goldman. So before he picks a vinyl to spin for the last one, we're going to play. How about a round of applause from us and from you guys for Mr. Greg Goldman? So what are we going to hear next here, Greg?
All right, so we got to listen to some Miles. So you turned me on to this Europe tour from '67, and it's just insane. I mean, everything about this is insane. Tony Williams in particular on drums, insane. I mean, the whole band is crazy. Herbie on keyboards, I mean, God. Anyway, so we got to hear Footprints.
Yeah, so there's a few different versions of each of these songs because as Ron Carter explains in the liner notes, and Ron Carter's the bass player, like every night they came on stage with pretty much the same set list, but that for them apparently was really good for the jams because they would not have to worry about like the changes of a new song or, you know, kind of like remembering what to play when, but they would play the head or like, you know, the start of the song and then just take off from there. So each show is like kind of similar set list wise, but jam wise, each song is quite a bit different.
Well, you got to figure, I mean, if you're playing the same set list every night, but you're an improvisational band, I mean, the opportunities to push the limits of what that song can do, it's got to be incredible.
Yeah, and you can hear it here. And this is like the jazz band that kind of like started to really push the envelope in terms of jamming and jazz. And apparently like this particular group was really good at like, or Miles in particular as the leader was good at letting each individual member really like have some license to be creative in their own way, right? Like everyone was kind of a little looser, going their own direction a little more, and it all comes together in like this improv soup that's like kind of like, you know, above and beyond much else that was going on at this time.
I mean, you can definitely tell there's a lot of experimenting going on with the playing on these. Yeah.
And listen to the drummer. He's like my favorite on this record.
Oh my
it's
God.
insane.
Yeah.
And I think he was like 16 when he joined the band in 64. So he must be like 19 or 20 only, which is incredible.
the raw talent of this guy, Jesus.
Yeah, one of my top two favorite jazz drummers, him and Elvin Jones. So,
oh my God, Elvin is the man.
All right, let's hear some Miles Davis Footprints from 1967. Here we go. Well, I think we successfully freaked everybody out with that one.
I love how at certain points in that song, a lot of that song, Ron Carter is the only person who's playing anything even remotely related to Footprints.
I know, a song that was actually written by Wayne Shorter, the sax player on that number, and his solo is nuts.
Oh my God, he goes in so many directions. But to me, the MVP for that song is Herbie Hancock. I mean, he is going everywhere and anywhere. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's why he's one of the best ever, right?
Yep.
Sample and Case. Yeah, so hope you all can appreciate the skill and just the innovation on that one. It's just out of this world.
Every member of that band, they're all just masters of their craft. It's amazing.
For sure. Well, thanks for stopping by, Greg.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, it was awesome having you. Thanks for talking about Soma and showing us some of that. And then, yeah, the insight into your creative process with your solo music is also pretty fun to hear. And we're glad you made an appearance on the show, man. And thanks for listening, as you usually do, too. And Greg, by the way, guys, he gives me a lot of the tracks I play on this show. He's always freshening up my repertoire of tunes to play just because he's always listening to jazz. And when we hang out and when we work out, we always spin some pretty good stuff. So he's very much part of the creative impetus behind Jazz Mountain as well, behind the scenes.
Well, you love great music, and so do I. So it works out well.
For sure. And yeah, we'll hopefully have you back on one of these days soon, man. So
thanks for having me again, man. Bye.
All right. Peace.